Anyway, are you ready for the men's rumble?
Yeah.
Well, AJ Styles and Shaky Nakamura started it out, but Austin Theory was in number 3. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'm going to be interested in this. I'm going to keep an eye on this. And Austin Theory, by the way, I haven't mentioned this, but he's left-handed, which makes it even more remarkable that he's just, but I kept watching and people kept coming in and they do shit. But it wasn't really anything worth writing down. And there wasn't any, show-stopping moment for a while. And I'm trying to get in. Finally, here comes Johnny Knoxville. I said, okay, now that's my official chance to fast forward because I'm not going to dignify a publicity stunt, right? So I skip ahead for a while, but I stop when here comes Almost. You may know him as Omos, folks, but he's almost to me because he's almost but not quite ready to be out in front of people. They got a 7'3", 400-pound guy in a battle royal. How can you fuck this up? They've obviously set this up. This doesn't take Pat Patterson, something this obvious. I'm thinking this guy's going to look like a world beater. Woo! Oh, Lord, shoot up here amongst us, because one of us needs a little relief. Everybody bounced off of him, and he dumped a couple of guys, but he didn't look good doing it. And he needs a lot of work, and I don't know how old he is now, but with the current life expectancy of human beings on the face of the planet Earth, I don't know if he's going to live long enough to get good. Priest goes after him, Damian Priest, and he just dumps him. And then 5 other guys try to dump Almost, and then Dominic comes in and he joins, and AJ just runs and hits all those guys with a big, flying stinger splash or whatever, and old Almost rolled over the top rope and landed on his feet and acted shocked. Bleh. This is what I was talking about earlier with the Women's Rumble, but it was obvious here. Guys would come in and nobody would feed them or even acknowledge them. Obviously, there were parts where somebody that came in meant something and they had something set up that they went into, but a lot of guys would just come in, and even if it's just, a mid-card guy, I'm not saying that everybody needs to feed them and that they need to bump everybody in the thing and look like $1 million against the entire roster in there, but there's nothing worse when a guy comes into a Royal Rumble Battle Royal and everybody's fighting and nobody turns and even looks at the guy, and he's just got to run over and start wailing on somebody from behind. They know the order that people are entering. They know who's going to be in the ring when they come in. You can't go to somebody and say, hey, when I come in, come at me. I'll duck a clothesline, drop kick the other guy, pick you up for a slam, and the other guy can fucking reach his hand in my pants from behind, stick his finger up my anus, whatever. They just come in and look around and see if anybody's, I'll punch somebody. Most guys didn't make an immediate impact. And in some cases, you would see where guys would come in, and as soon as they'd roll in before they really did anything, somebody would stop them and boom, 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 and put them in the right place. Somebody else would come over and they'd set up where that person that just came in could come out from under and do something. Well, fuck you. That's good for the later stage of when you're in the thing, but if you come in a rumble and they stop you immediately and kill your momentum, you hear sometimes the people, they're kind of up for a guy coming in the ring, but he doesn't do something right off the bat and they come down, and then 30 seconds later he gets to come out from under something. Well, it's too late. Fucking horse done left the barn. Dog done took his shit. It's not the same. Don't stop the momentum. Let a guy come in and throw 3, 4, 5 somethings, drop kicks, punches, whatever the fuck, and look like something, then stop him down for a second, and then give him a spot to come out from under of. When somebody comes in, especially somebody that people aren't predisposed to really worship or love anyway, and they don't do something right off, people just kind of, and they start looking at the other fight in the other corner. And AJ Styles dumped Austin Theory out with a nothing spot. There's no big bill. There was no big attention. It was just, thanks for coming, Austin. Well, he lasted 22 minutes. That's not as big a compliment as it used to be when this fucking thing feels like it lasts 3 hours. Did you see Booger, his new look? The haircut, the neatly trimmed mustache. He looks like Freddie Mercury and Dan Severn had a love child.
I thought that was Dan Severn. But yes, I saw the new
No, if it'd been Dan Severn, he'd have been throwing more people out. Matt Riddle came in on his little scooter, his little buddin'. Have I mentioned that I hate this guy more every time I see him?
Yes, you have.
And he came in, he jumped.
And you're not the only one.
No. There's a bunch of people. I have a feeling Randy Orton's probably about fed up with this guy at this point. And we'll talk about another one in a second, but when he kicked his flip-flops off, no birds flew out of his ass. That's the best part of his entrance. I wanted to see the birds. Happy Corbin and Mosh Pit Jones came in and did more than the actual real talent was allowed to do in this thing. Then, of course, Drew McIntyre is back. He's been injured. He's been out for that, but he was back as a surprise. And the first thing, Drew McIntyre, who was the chosen one, no pun intended, he was supposed to be the chosen one, 15 years ago when he first came in the company, and that didn't last. But he came back. They were pushing him. He beat Brock Lesnar, didn't he? He won the world title.
He did.
He fucking did all this stuff. Now he's back, and the people he's mad at are Happy Corbin and Mosh Pit Jones. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. You might as well be mad at the fucking hot dog vendor out on the sidewalk that shortchanged him earlier in the afternoon. Who gives a shit? It's Corbin and Mosh Pit. So he has a sloppy, bad fight with the two of them and then dumped them and beat them up on the floor and hit them with the stairs. And here's this giant guy, and Drew McIntyre looks great, and he's had a following. And he can talk, and he's got the size, blah, blah, blah. Here he's picking up these giant metal stairs, bashing these two subhuman nitwits over the fucking head, and the fans didn't give a shit because it was Happy Corbin and Mosh Pit Jones. And they don't care. So they're watching attempted homicide with this giant metal object, and they don't give a shit. And then Owens comes out and meets Drew McIntyre on the floor, and they have a fight. And then Owens actually gets in the ring and did shit. And he didn't have to come in like Andre or like Hercules. He stomped Riddle's bare feet. I almost forgave him for everything right there. But he was smart enough to know, okay, I'm going to come out. I'm going to get some attention. I'm going to get in a fight with the big guy on the floor. I'm going to come in. They like this fucking stoner moron for some reason. I'm going to stomp his fucking feet. At least he attracted some attention. We're 3 hours and 40 minutes into this show, and there's 7 more guys to come into this fucking battle royal. And bless him, you know who the next one was. Oh, well, it worked in rehearsal. Poor Kofi Kingston. I mean, I know if you don't risk all, you don't win all. No risk, no reward, right? But goddamn, there was a ton of downside to doing this the first thing that he did in this match. Kofi Kingston comes in, and of course, they've had the ongoing thing that he finds innovative ways to stay into the Royal Rumble. And the announcers even said, boy, we can't wait to see this, what innovative ways that he finds to stay in the Royal Rumble. Of course, ignoring the fact that it's basically telling people it's phony when he finds innovative ways to stay in the Royal Rumble. Instead of, but anyway, they come to expect it every year. So, of course, he's got to give them one. And in this one, he comes out, he throws a couple of punches, just long enough for the announcers to say, what are we going to see here this year? And he's on the apron. He goes for a springboard on Owens. And as he gets to the top, Owens pushes him off the top rope backwards out into the arena. And the idea is he's supposed to turn and land in a splash on the barricade, staying on the barricade so that his feet don't touch the ground. And he was about 2 inches short. And he hit the barricade, but his feet went down because he wasn't quite far enough. And they showed the replay. One in that McAfee, I think it was going to be like, I don't know whether he hit or not. And they showed the replay, and yeah, he hit bigger than Christmas, both feet. And the referee had to come over and tell him. So, poof, he was out, and it's gone. And I think he even tweeted something like, well, the best laid plans or whatever. But I felt embarrassed for him. He was giving it a try, right? The next guy I was not embarrassed for, Bugs Bunny is back. Can't they at least change it up and get Daffy Duck once in a while? What about Porky Pig? So Bugs Bunny is not only back, but Sheamus and Kevin Owens both took bumps for him. Then he gave, quote unquote gave, it's ridiculous because the fucking guy giving it is actually along for the ride, but he gave Riddle a Canadian destroyer and then ducked and eliminated Sheamus. So you got a 6'6" plus pale Scotsman. Is he Scottish or Irish? Old Sheamus.
I'm not sure.
Whichever. He's 6'6". Owens is 260 these days, and Matt Riddle is a former UFC fighter. And in comes, I don't care how hard he works. I don't care how much he respects the business. I don't care how nice of a guy he is. This is not a part he's supposed to be playing. The rapper, the musician, is not supposed to be able to do all this shit, or that just tells you that everybody can fucking do it. And so I'm not saying that he's a horrible, disrespectful person. I'm saying that the idiots are the ones letting him do it. And these guys, I'm sure they're big fans, and they're just out there eagerly taking bumps for him. You've got a fucking musician beating up 300-pound men and UFC fighters. It'll get worse in a minute, but that's where we're at. And he dumped Dolph Ziggler out, too. I wanted to quit watching the whole Rumble match here, but I figured you'd get mad at me. And then here comes Shane O'Mac. Brian, what's worse than 300-pound men and UFC fighters bumping for a 175-pound rapper?
Bumping for 50-something Shane McMahon.
You got it. And I've said Shane's my favorite one of the McMahons, right? To just be around. He's a very nice guy, funny, he's got a sense of humor, intelligent, but what the fuck? Is he 53? I think he's 7 years younger than me. He's 53 or thereabouts. And he came in and he and Riddle both started like they're Riddle and like fucking who Ronda Rousey was doing it earlier. It's like they're actual fighters that have thrown punches, and now they're trying to throw the same kind of shitty looking little quick jabs that never connect anything and don't look like anybody's trying that Shane does. So he and Riddle are throwing the worst looking punches ever. Then Kevin Owens hit Shane full on with a super kick twice. He didn't bump on either one. First one stiffened him up, and the second one he staggered back. And then as Owens grabbed him, he reversed Owens' toss and dumped Owens over the top rope like a piece of shit after he'd stood up under 2 of his super kicks. And he's not just a 53-year-old man. Luthez was 53 once. Fucking Randy Couture is probably 53 now. Whoever, I mean, there's 53-year-olds can beat your fucking ass. But Shane McMahon, even if he might be one in real life because he's in great shape, has been presented as the son of a billionaire. How come he was so tough, but Pete Gas and Rodney were pushovers? So, and then Shane goes toe-to-toe with Drew McIntyre. So we've got... And by the way, did I mention that they're getting down to nut-cutting time? A 53-year-old son of a billionaire and a 175-pound musician are in the final fucking 8 so far here in the Royal Rumble. Then here comes Orton, number 29, hometown pop. He's from St. Louis. All the Ortons are. And he RKOs and dumps Big E and RKOs and dumps Otis. And he starts working with Riddle. And then here's Shane now. Shane's toe-to-toe with Matt Riddle again. And then let's go to the clip now before I reveal the last part of this. Brian, back on New Year's Day, and this won't take long, folks, if you've heard it before. This is only about 45 seconds. After the New Year's Day pay-per-view, when they had changed the plans, put the belt on Brock, then they reunited Brock with Heyman on television on Raw the following night. And I said, boy, we missed part of the story. And, you know, whatever Heyman was going, however we were going to see what side Heyman was going to be on. And, you know, boy, they really ought to shake the thing up. And I got an idea of how they could really shake this thing up with Brock and Reigns and blah, blah, blah. You want to play that clip now? It's only 45 seconds. This was from January, a clip we put up on the YouTube channel January the 9th. I think they really ought to shake this fucking thing up and shake people up and shake up their preconceived notions about what's going on. If they want to pour some fucking steam on this thing, if they do, let's say maybe, for example, maybe Brock loses to Lashley at the Royal Rumble. Now, I mean, now that we've already revealed that Heyman's around, Brock loses to Lashley at the Royal Rumble in the title match through some fucking swervy means, not just because he got beat, and then shows up in an open position or takes somebody out, goes in the Royal Rumble the very next match and kicks the shit out of some people and wins it, and he's still going to meet Reigns at WrestleMania.
I like that.
Well, you liked it then. Did you like it when you saw it, Brian? Because that's goddamn exactly what they did. Number 30, here comes Brock. And I mean, I knew they were listening, but for something as blatant as this, they ought to send me a check, but I'll let them go with it. But Brock wiped out everybody, as you should. If you're trying to make an impact in the Royal Rumble, remember Diesel one year. That was Pat Patterson knew how to fucking set these things up. He wipes out everybody. He dumps Orton to Big Booze because he's the hometown hero. He gives F5 to the Bugs, the bunny, and dumps him. He grabs and German suplexes Shane. And then Riddle comes at him and is going to jump. I think that Riddle was going to be like he was going to dive on him and Brock was going to catch him over his shoulders in an F5 position and spin him out. But if you go back and look, Riddle jumps and Brock, he wasn't in exactly the right place, but he caught Riddle awkwardly in midair, just like he was catching a goddamn leaf falling off the tree. There was no strain whatsoever, and just was under his legs and just picked him up and just chucked him over the top and didn't give a fuck how he landed, it looked like. Didn't care. And there's been tongue wagging between Brock Lesnar and Matt Riddle, hadn't there?
I think so, a while back on social media, and I could be wrong, but didn't either Brock or someone close to Brock said, like, he'll never work with Riddle because of his social media behavior?
No, he told Riddle.
Oh, is that what it was?
I heard it. I heard it because Riddle was trying to shoot his own angles and running his dick licker about who could whip who and this and that. He was disrespectful in some kind of way because he's a goof. And Brock, apparently, when Brock came back or the next time he was around or whatever, I heard that in the back, Riddle went up to him and Brock said, "Hey, that's okay, brother, because we're never going to work with each other." And that interaction right there is probably all you're going to get to see. But he just had Riddle and he just launched him. His feet were pointed downwards. It wasn't like he was completely trying to kill him. His feet were under him, but he just pushed him off and said gravity can take care of the rest. And then Brock tried to clothesline Shane McMahon over the top rope. But by this point, Shane was blown slap dab up. His face was red, and you could see, because even if Shane was an experienced worker, you know what he was doing. He's 53 years old, and he doesn't do it often. But also, all of that motion that he's in, you can tell Shane is not breathing. He's not conserving his energy. He's tense. He's wired up. He's throwing it. He's tight. That's what blows you up. That's what, Lawler never fucking went in a gym a day in his life. When he was in his mid-40s, he could go a half an hour at a pretty good pace and chewing gum the whole time because he was as relaxed in the ring as anybody that's ever stepped foot in it. And that's what the reason why non-wrestlers, part-time wrestlers, people who have trained to wrestle from another line of work for a special match or whatever and don't do it regularly, you're tense, you're in front of all those people, you're concentrating on what you're doing, you're not breathing, and 3 minutes later your tongue's hanging out like a long red necktie, and the first 3 rows are passing out from oxygen deprivation because you've sucked all the wind out of the room. So anyway, after Shane was eliminated, I'm surprised it didn't take the SWAT team. Here comes Brock Lesnar and Drew McIntyre. They're facing off. Boy, let's see what's going to. A couple of years ago, we know what happened. What about now? Drew missed a kick. Brock Fireman's carried him and dumped him over the top rope. Thanks for coming. That was it.
That was surprising.
Again, we didn't have to. I know that Drew McIntyre is not in this issue with Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley and Roman Reigns. That doesn't mean that he just had to, okay, boom, we're done. So basically, let me go back and look at my notes here. Dumped him, dumped Riddle, dumped Shane. 2 of the last 3 eliminations were Shane McMahon and Bugs Bunny. No, 2 of the last 4. I'm sorry, right? Shane, Bugs. Well, regardless, Shane McMahon and Bugs Bunny were that deep in the Royal Rumble. And then when we got down to the 2 wrestlers, both former world champions, one formerly Drew McIntyre from last year or whenever, one from an hour beforehand, 2 graduates of major universities, 1 move, duck, dump. 4 fucking hours to get to that point. And Brock points to the WrestleMania sign and they blew off the pyro again. Apparently they set the fucking thing on fire again because I got an email or a tweet, one or the other, I read it, from somebody specifically to me saying they were leaving the fucking building and the thing was melting again.
All right, I guess we're done with the Royal Rumble review. Interesting metaphor. The WrestleMania sign burning. As people are leaving the arena.
And hey, where were these people? Because when they did that at TNA at the pay-per-view that time and set the fucking roof on fire or whatever, the people started chanting, the roof is on fire. The fans didn't pick up on it here. So yeah, the WrestleMania was in flames around their ears as this program ended, folks. Once again, the mighty has fallen.
I understand Cody said that they stole the idea from him, being lit on fire.
You know what they should have done? They should have hoisted fucking Cody up like the WrestleMania sign in AEW. They should hoist him up, and whoever wins gets to set Cody on fire.
And they could all just stand there and point to the flaming Cody.
Yes, that would draw. That would be the highest secondary ticket price in wrestling to get into for that one.
It's an interesting idea. I don't know if it would draw, but I know that someone would draw it for you. In fact, someone would paint it for you if you wanted to see that image on your wall.
As a matter of fact, that's the present that I didn't know that I needed for this Valentine's Day is somebody to get me a world-class painting of Cody Rhodes hung over the arena on fire. But I'll tell you, if folks, no matter whether you want a member of your family set on fire or not, even in a picture, not for real, although just keep a can of gas and a box of matches around just in case.
In case.
Well, just in case you ever need to light a match or fill your gas up with car, or fill your car up with gas. That's why you should have those things around. But folks, the fine friends that we have at Paint Your Life can turn your new memories into lasting art that will last forever. Because after all, what do you call a guy with no arms and no legs hanging on the wall? Art. That's what you call him, and that's what Paint Your Life produces. We have mentioned many times at paintyourlife.com, it's a great idea for a gift for birthdays, anniversary, wedding, etc., because you can have any photograph or combination of photographs turned into a very beautiful, professional, hand-painted portrait by a team of world-class artists. Actually, one of a member of a team of world-class. A bunch of people don't work on this. They have a bunch of artists, but they'll just assign one to your painting. You don't have to worry about somebody starting something and somebody else finishing it. For example, you don't want a Picasso slapped onto the side of a Van Gogh or a Rembrandt. Nevertheless, you can get this portrait in as little as 2 weeks. The reason is because they only have one guy doing it. They're not putting the whole team on it.
There's more than one guy doing it.
Well, there's more than one, but not more than one guy's going to do each portrait. They have a team of world-class artists. And if you want a portrait, they'll give you one of their team. But you'll get the portrait. And you can choose from a team of world-class artists. You don't have to take just any old fucking, amateur yacht broker from a fucking, local dealership or whatever. You can get whoever you pick. Anyway, you can send any picture. Yourself, your children, your family, a special place, someone, a loved one who isn't around anymore, a cherished pet, someone on the most wanted list in your town. Someone that you need to put this picture up next to your front door and tell everybody in the house, if this motherfucker shows up, don't let him in. Whoever you want it to be. It doesn't matter because they will make the portrait and it'll be a perfect birthday, anniversary, or wedding gift that can be cherished forever. As a matter of fact, I have feedback, Brian, from some of the Cult of Cornette members. This is from LJ. Actually, you don't have to call him LJ. Well, you could call him Ray, and you could call him Jay. However, LJ says he's a longtime listener, had the opportunity of seeing me live many times, the first being at the Clash of Champions back in Troy, New York.
Oh, wow.
Holy mackerel, that was quite a while back.
Great night.
But LJ says, over the Christmas holiday, I received a painting from my wife, Andrea, that she had made by the fine people at Paint Your Life. The painting is a picture of our son, Jonathan, who was born in February of 2021, and my dad, who passed away when I was 14. It was hands down one of the best presents I've ever received. And he enclosed an attachment with some pictures. He had the picture of his father from years ago, had the picture of his son from last year, and then a picture of the painting, and they're combined where his son's sitting on his father's lap. They never coexisted in the world at the same time, and it looks just like both of them. So he says it was hands down one of the best birthday presents, or one of the best presents he's ever received. And he also wants to wish both his wife and son an early birthday, as their birthdays are February 10th and 12th. So Jonathan and wife Andrea, happy birthday from LJ. But LJ says, I want to thank you so much for your sponsors and thank you for the shows that you guys provide. So there you go, folks. If you want to do what LJ did, then all you've got to do is go to paintyourlife.com and check everything out. If you don't love the final painting, your money will be refunded. There is absolutely no risk. There is a risk. If you hit your finger with a hammer while you're hanging the painting up, you could break your fucking finger, but that's not Paint Your Life's problem. But they'll give you the money back if you don't like the painting, guaranteed. And right now, as a limited time offer, you can get 20% off your painting, 20% and free shipping if you text the word DRIVE to 64,000. That's DRIVE, D-R-I-V-E, to 64,000. DRIVE, that's what I do to Brian when I drive him crazy, to 64,000, 20% off and free shipping at paintyourlife.com. Paint Your Life. Celebrate the moments that matter most. Message and data rates may apply. Terms apply. Available at paintyourlife.com/terms.